sure that you get credit for being in attendance tonight. So if you would, take out your cell phone and text to this information right here, this number right here. I need you to include the following: your first name, last name, your email address.
And you're going to get a number, just to let you know, Scott, before the workshop, you'll get a number emailed to you. So you will be able to tell them, definitely tell them the number sign or the pound sign, and then the 6-digit number. That's most important. And then first name, last name, email address.
Okay. Okay. All right. So coaches, at the end of the presentation, if you didn't get a chance to knock that out, I will put that slide back up at the end of the presentation, so you're able to get credit for being here tonight. So just want to reiterate, my name is Scott Denson, and I am a youth coach. I've been coaching for about 5 years. I'm retired military, did 26 years in the military, and coaching has pretty much been my life since retirement. I really enjoy having an opportunity to interact with kids, and I feel it's a great way for me to give back to my community. So that's definitely what brought me into the coaching arena. So with that being said, I'm just curious, how many first-time coaches do we have here tonight? Okay, okay. So if you've been coaching for 3 years, three years, let me see raise your hands. Okay, anybody with 5 years or more coaching experience? Wow, that's great. You know, we definitely have a lot of experience in the room tonight. So coaches, again, I know a lot of you coaches have your mindset on how you coach, you know, but I'm hoping that the information that is presented tonight, you know, it will give you an opportunity to maybe take a pause and think about some of the things that you might be able to incorporate into your coaching style that just might make you a better coach. So who is PCA? Anybody know anything about PCA?
Stands for Positive Coaching Alliance.
Okay. Exactly. It does stand for that. So PCA is a nonprofit. It's a nonprofit that was founded at Stanford University in 1998. To date, we have trained over 80,000 coaches. We've reached over 3.3 million youth. We've done over 2,500 live workshops, and we've done over 100,000 visits. We've had over 100,000 visits to the PCA Development Zone.org. So what does it mean to be a positive coach? What is positive coaching? Anybody?
Encouragement.
Encouragement? Okay.
I think it's a coach that likes to have fun and really cares about the players.
Okay. So when
being a good role model.
Oh, role model? Okay, good.
Guiding the kids in a good direction on and off the field.
So as a coach, do you always project a positive coaching image? Mm-hmm. I just want you to think about it. I don't want anybody to raise their hand. I just want you to take a minute to think about that. And you know, while you're thinking about that, I want you to think about different coaching, different events, sporting events that you've gone to. Maybe a team that your child might be playing on. Does that coach always project a positive coaching image?
No, definitely not.
Okay.
I don't know that anybody always projects. I mean, even some of the most positive coaches, you catch them in the right moment, the still frame, and they look angry, they look mean, they don't look too positive.
Absolutely. I've seen a lot over my years, you know, as coach and as just a parent, you know, at different events for my kids, you know, but at the end of the day, I have to be honest, you know, I don't always fault the coaches, because I think some of the coaches just haven't been trained properly. And what I mean by that is I often think as a coach, I wonder how many coaches merely coach off of the way they were coached when they were kids. How many coaches are out there that think that there's no training out there for coaches? You know, I just want you to ponder them thoughts as we continue to go through this workshop. So in your mind, what would be what's the power of positive in your own opinion?
It's, you know, it's viewing, it's optimism, right? It's viewing the glass half full instead of half empty. And
Absolutely.
instead of dwelling on the negative, it's seeing the possibilities and the potential of any situation.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Okay.
I think it's motivating too. I think, you know, it's really, really motivating for somebody to be cheering you on rather than ripping you apart.
So have any of you ever had a positive coach or role model that whenever you look at this term right here, it automatically brings that coach to mind?
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So studies show that more and more that the power of positive gets the most and the best out of athletes. Would you agree?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay. So this slide right here, is this oh, okay. I remember what I'm supposed to do. So I'd like everybody in the office to take a minute to read this slide, please.
Is this the quote one?
Yes, there's a perception that the best way to get what you want out of employees or players is by negativity or threats, but negativity doesn't work as well as positivity. Mm-hmm. So am I writing that this slide, you know, you put up and you give the coaches an opportunity to read it, or I can ask somebody to read this slide off?
Either way, any way you feel comfortable doing it.
Okay. So when you look at this slide, coaches, what are your thoughts? What are your thoughts on this slide right here, coaches?
That we kind of set the tone. We lead the way. If we want our players to be positive, that we've got to be positive.
So in the past, have you seen times when negativity has worked?
Sure.
Yeah.
Sure. Well, when you say worked, produced a win, or influenced the referee's call, or
produce results. Have you seen a time where negativity has produced results?
Yes.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I have too. You know, I will tell you that when I came in the military years ago, you know, people ruled by fear. You know, and I still, you know, when I think about the slide personally, you know, I think about people like Bobby Knight. You know, he was a very vocal coach. You know, different antics that he did on the sideline, but at the end of the day, he was known as a coach that won. So I think we've all seen this, but this is something that we want to change because, again, study shows that positivity will bring more out of athletes than negativity will.
Do they apply that in the military nowadays, or is it?
That's a good point, and hopefully I can.
I don't know. I don't know. I'm not making a point. I'm asking a question.
Yeah. So can I be like totally transparent?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, great. Okay. So again, I did 26 years in the military. So day one of my time in the Army, the fear of God was pretty much instilled in me day one. That if you do anything wrong, the consequences will be so great that it will prevent you from even thinking about doing anything wrong. So as I went through my career, I was just like the leaders that I had before me. I was emulating what I had been shown as a leader. Mm-hmm. So, you know, I got to a point in my career where I was pretty much at the top. And I used to say that the kids that were coming in the military today, they weren't as tough as we were. So one day, one of my buddies, he kind of checked me on this. He said, you know what? He said, you keep saying that these kids coming in today are not as tough as us. He said, but if we train them right, they can be better than us. And ever since then, it totally changed my mindset. You know what I'm saying? When it comes to stuff like that. And, you know, when I go to, you know, I've been to a couple of these. So when I hear people talk about old school, I kind of have shied away from the old school mentality, just being honest, because I'm in a mindset now that if we train these kids right, they will be better than we were when we were their age. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
So the physical aspect, I don't think it's diminished. It's all about the way we reach these kids. So that's just my little personal spiel on that.
I like that. I think you should put that in your workshop every time.
Absolutely. Because I wanted to ask you about it, because I've heard the old school thing, and I'm like, man, I can't say the old school thing because I don't agree with the old school mentality. So studies show that show the benefit of a more positive approach. So we're currently at a tipping point on an outdated style of what we just talked about the verbal and then physically demonstrative, the physical type of coaching approach. Where that is outdated. And Sports Illustrated did an article on this, and it's dated September 28th, 2015. So here at Positive Coaching Alliance, we have a lot of elite coaches that are currently serving on our national advisory board. And one of the things that they all keep saying is that the reason why they wanted to be a part of Positive Coaching Alliance is because they want all kids to have the opportunity to have a great positive experience when they play sports. And, you know, they just all talk about the power of the positive and the difference that it can make in athletes. And here's a few of the coaches that are elite that are currently serving on the advisory board. So what negativity does, excuse me. So coaches, take a minute. And if anybody wants to comment on this, what do you feel negativity does when it comes to sports or coaching?
Demoralizes.
Okay.
I think it's just hard on the kids to think about what they're supposed to do. I think when parents are yelling one thing and coaches are yelling the other thing, the kids don't even know which direction to go, and a lot of times they freeze up.
Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. Man, that's exactly what I'm looking for, Coach. I just had that happen the other night at practice. So how many of us coaches have been trying to make a point to one of our players, and the parent is also trying to make a point to their child while we're trying to coach their child? You know, I see that. And like I said, I just had this happen to me the other night in the gym at basketball practice where the kid has gotten down on himself. He's already down on himself, and mom is like on him. And I'm like, wow, you know, I'm wondering how much stress this child is under. Because one of the things I try to tell kids is that don't give up on the play. Even if you make a mistake, play through it. You know, a lot of kids will make a mistake and they'll just stop. They'll stop in place and do whatever they're going to do. And I'm trying to coach kids through that. But mom just was like a barrage to the child. And I'm like, wow. And dad is like trying to hold mom off. Dad is like, oh, wait a minute. He's trying to calm mom down. But at the end of the day, you know, this is a child that this is my second year coaching him. And this behavior happened last year. So this is not new behavior. This is ongoing. And I just think back, after I left practice that Thursday, I thought about that kid up until last night when I seen him again, just wondering, was he okay? To the point where I thought I needed to ask dad, how is he doing today? Yeah. You know, and that's just about being aware of your athletes and, you know, being engaged, engage with them. So it definitely impedes performance. The negativity definitely impedes performance, and it just adds stress. You know, depending on what level you're coaching on. You know, I'm coaching recreational ball right now. So a lot of these kids, this might be their first year of playing sports. So all they have is the excitement that they have for the game. The skills haven't been developed yet. So that's our job, to develop them skills. So you don't want that joy that they have of wanting to be out there on the court with friends to be taken away from them, because there's so much pressure being applied because they didn't make the shot or didn't make the play or they double dribbled or whatever it was that they did. So just keep that in mind, that negativity impedes performance. So do you agree? Do you agree with that statement?
Yes.
Yeah.
Negatively definitely distracts, and again, I just, when I think about kids in general, not just coaching them, I just think about the immense peer pressure these kids are under, even at school. The one thing, I reiterate in my practices, I talk to my kids about paying attention and staying focused at practice, just like they are required to do while they're at school. But at the end of the day, we live in a world now where so much pressure, these kids are under so much pressure to perform, whether it's in school or on the basketball court. So PCA's vision. PCA vision uses sports psychology research and best practices from great coaches, from what they're being told from great coaches to develop the coaches that come to the workshops. So I don't know if I said that correctly, but but that's the slide that I'm currently on, the PCA vision. Should I be reading the vision on this slide?
Well, it's just giving them an overall idea of what is our vision. The vision of PCA is to use sports psychology research and the best practices to develop better athletes, better people. So it's not just Scott telling these coaches how to coach.
Right.
We're actually using research from current sports psychology, and we're talking to the best coaches in the business and the best players to find out what they did. So this is a slide that just sort of tells the coaches where we get our information from and how we use this to develop better athletes, better people.
Okay, so just run them 3 points together pretty much. So as a coach, you definitely have support from PCA. You have research-based coaching models to guide you. You have practical tools. You have ongoing support, such as books as resources, weekly coaching talking points, and of course, the PCA Development Zone at pcadevelopmentzone.org. So coaches, in your own words, what makes a great youth experience for kids?
Learning and growing and developing as a player, as an athlete.
Okay. So one of the things I didn't say at this point, per the slides, I'm supposed to have the coaches pair up with the person next to them and maybe take 30 seconds. So is that a requirement, or can I just go off the top like I just did with this question?
Well, why do you think we put them in there for why do you think we'd have the coaches pair off and share? And no, it's not a requirement at this point in the workshop. It's just a suggestion. But if you understand the why behind it, you might want to use it a little bit more.
Okay. So off the top, I would say the why is to maybe get coaches moving around a little bit. So, because, we all know that once you sit still for a certain amount of time, you start daydreaming and you might get sleepy. And a lot of people probably are coming from work. So they might need that moment to just get up and move around. And then again, nobody wants to be talked at for 2 hours straight with no interaction. You know what I'm saying? Right. So it gives them an opportunity. So I got you. And
this workshop is sold by Spencer down in Central Texas as an interactive workshop where the coaches are going to get to tap into each other's ideas too. So if we don't give them an opportunity to do that, then we're not giving them what they thought they were getting.
Spencer, when he sells this, will not talk to people about a presentation.
No.
Okay.
he's going to talk about an interactive workshop.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So what do you think a meaningful athlete experience consists of?
Well, like I said, I think learning, growing, improving in the sport.
Okay. So we here at PCA believe that feeling connected to their teammates and their coach, believing that they can improve, and feeling proud about acting with integrity. We feel that if players get these, this might mean that they could walk away with a meaningful athlete experience while playing sports. Do you agree with that?
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Okay. What does it mean to be feeling? What does it mean to feel connected to teammates and coach? How would athletes be? How would they feel connected to a coach?
Feel supported. The coach is on my side. The coach wants me to do well. Not all athletes feel that way.
Absolutely.
A lot of them think the coach is just waiting for them to screw up, make a mistake, so they can yell at them.
Absolutely. Absolutely. How important is this? How important do you think this is for the kids that are even younger or at a younger age? That connection with the coach, is it pretty much across the board at any age it's important, or would it be important, maybe a little bit more important the younger they are?
I don't know. I think it's almost more important the older they are.
Okay.
I mean, that's just my opinion. I've coached everywhere from 6-year-olds up to college level. And I think that as the kids get older and the competition gets more intense, coaches tend to pull away a little bit more and be that more of that negative coach. I think most coaches that I've seen around that are coaching 6-year-olds or younger kids at practice, you know, they're having fun. A lot of them have the right perspective, but as they get older, that's where the win at all costs comes in more. And that's where I think coaches need to go out of their way to show how much they care, but that's just my opinion.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I agree with you on that. So PCA's coaching model is connected, which is emotional tanks, improving, the ELM tree of mastery, and integrity, honoring the game. So these are the 3 things that have been incorporated into PCA's coaching model. So the next slide is the Understanding Your Legacy slide by Herm Edwards. So this is where we would play the video clip, correct?
Yep.
Okay. So coaches, at this time, I'm going to play a short clip. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So legacy. So coach, what would be, when we say legacy, what are we talking about?
What you're going to be remembered for.
Okay. Okay.
What you leave behind. Legacy is what you leave behind.
So Kelly, if you were being inducted into the Hall of Fame today, what would your legacy be?
As a coach?
As a person.
I know what I hope it would be. I hope it is what it is, but I hope as a coach that I would be known as somebody that, you know, cared about the kids, helped them to love the sport, and taught them the importance of team.
So looking back over your coaching career, what is like one of your proudest moments?
Gosh, I think more of the proud moments have come for me specifically this year and last year, because the very first kids at the high school in the local area that I started coaching when they were like 8 and 9 years old were seniors last year. They graduated. And so I was involved, you know, I have daughters that are that age, so I would go to games and watch them play the high school game. And they would come over to me after they would go out of their way to come over to me after the game. And a lot of them I haven't, you know, I don't coach anymore. I haven't coached them since they were little kids. But they'd come over and give me a hug or give me a high five, and I was doing, and say, like, you know, they'd be laughing about, oh my gosh, do you remember when we did this in practice? And that was so much fun. And
Absolutely.
So that to me was fun, to have senior girls come out of their way to come over and like say hi. And I loved lacrosse when we were kids. It was great. It was a blast. And, you know. So.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So coaches, you know, when the book of life is written, will it say that you made a difference? So coaches, I just want you to take a moment to think about your legacy right now today. If you didn't get a chance to do anything else, if you didn't get a chance to add anything to your legacy and it was written as it is today, what would your legacy say about you? So just take a minute to think about that, coaches. Okay, coaches, we're now moving on to the PCA's model of coaching. Has anybody heard of the double goal coach? Has anybody heard of any of the aspects of the double goal coach?
Well, I can see him up there.
So the two things that make up a double goal coach are striving to win and teaching life lessons. So coaches, without hearing this term, double goal coaches, how many of you are today a double goal coach? How many are doing both of this, striving to win and teaching life lessons? How many? Okay. So I'm sorry, but this slide I haven't here twice. So is there something else that I'm supposed to say other than hitting on these 2 points?
Well, it's probably, when you printed it out, it probably printed out as 2 slides, because the one has them separate, and then the next slide, it animates them together.
Okay.
So we talk about how do you as a double goal coach bring those two, bring the 2 goals together, striving to win and teaching life lessons. Okay. And when do they conflict?
Okay. All right. Okay. So now I am moving on to principles.
Okay. Okay. Scott, I'm actually going to stop you for right now.
Okay.
Because that was the introduction piece. And I think it's because we do these, usually we do these as separate principles, where we do the intro first and then you get feedback. And then in a couple days you would do the principle. I think it would be good. And Ruben, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think it might be good to give Scott some feedback now.
Okay.
Sure.
And see how we do. Or would you like him? Would you rather him just keep going?
No, I think it's good. He's covered a lot, and give him a little bit of feedback now seems appropriate. Yeah.
Okay. Okay, great. So also too, the timing of it, Scott, I think that was about 27 minutes, which again, we don't nitpick about a couple minutes over here and there, right. But to get through all of the material, this intro piece is really supposed to be just that, just an intro, and give them kind of the highlights, the trainer reel, get them excited and thinking. And then the principal part is what we really want to dig into. So, you might want to just keep an eye on the time a little bit and the pace of the intro piece.
Okay.
Yeah. But I took lots of notes, and I have some things I really liked about what you did, and some suggestions that I have for you to just make it a little bit crisper, a little bit cleaner. And I'm sure Ruben does as well. So Ruben, would you like to give Scott some of your thoughts?
I'll give just a little bit, Kelly, and then I'll let you take it. Scott, I enjoy it the most when I feel like you're talking to me, and we're conversing, and I like that part best. Like I like when you tell your story. The story. This just happened to me the other day. Mom's yelling at a kid. I like that piece. I think Kelly mentioned, the military and how you evolved with your approach in the military. I found that very interesting, because I've heard other people tell me that too, that the military and law enforcement, fire department, and their training programs, they're all going in this direction also. And I think that's interesting for people to hear, So I encourage you to keep, as you develop as a trainer, to keep moving away from the trainer notes and the script.
Yeah.
And interact with us, So couple of things. I mentioned that when the partnership manager is selling a partnership in a workshop, they don't say, "Hey, we want you to have your coaches go through a PCA presentation." In fact, Kelly and I are working to take that word out of our vocabulary at PCA: presentation, presenter, audience. What do we call it, Scott? What you're doing, what you're practicing? You're practicing a PCA
workshop.
Yes. That's the word. Use it over and over and get rid of presentation. Because presentation, you know what a presentation is.
Absolutely. It's pretty much.
And that's not what you're doing with us. Okay.
Right.
You're pulling. So, okay. And then just another little fine tuning thing. And I know Kelly's going to hit on some broader things. Elm Tree of Mastery, filling emotional tanks, and honoring the game. They are the 3 principles of positive coaching. And so just like we want you to use the word workshop, we want you to use the word principles. Okay, so they're not the 3 things, they're not the 3 components, they're not the 3 elements. They are the 3 principles of positive coaching.
What word did Scott use? I didn't even catch that.
Things.
Okay.
These 3 things.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah. Was that all, Ruben?
Yeah. Because Kelly, I know you're gonna give plenty, so
she's gonna lower the boom on me.
Yeah, man. Just set me up here. No, Scott, I really agree with Ruben. I like your personality. Coaches are really going to connect with you. And I mean, you're smiling right away, just really comfortable. And I think you're going to because a lot of coaches are going to come to your workshops thinking it's going to be a presentation.
Yeah.
And they're going to think, oh, I have to sit here for 2 hours and listen to this guy tell me how to coach. And so I think just your kind of relaxed, your sense of humor, I think that's really going to put people at ease, especially if they read your bio and hear you're a military guy. They're going to be like, oh man, I don't want to hear this. So I think right off the bat, that's really great. And I picked up, you said the word presentation about 4 times in the beginning. And I picked on that too, that if I was here listening to you say the presentation, I'd be like, oh, so it's just practice. It's practice getting into the vocabulary of not calling it a presentation, because then you don't make it a presentation if you're not calling it that. So I think that's important too. Right off the bat, you know how we said what makes a great youth experience for kids? And we said it's connection, improvement, and integrity. One of the things that makes a great workshop experience for coaches is connection. And so right off the bat, in the beginning of the workshop, I want you to connect to these coaches. So let's just say, Scott, that you were in a workshop and you had somebody you didn't know, never met, complete stranger in the front of the room. How would you want them to connect with you?
How would I want them? Pretty much by, eyes on me, or so I see that they're paying attention.
Right.
Something that allows me to realize that they're listening or paying attention.
Okay. Is there anything they could tell you about themselves that would help you connect to them better?
What brought them there?
Yeah.
I mean, that definitely would
Why are you here?
Yeah. Why are you here?
So what you did was fine, because you started talking about, this is my background, 26 years military. I've been coaching. I'm a youth coach now in my retirement. You didn't tell us what sport you coach right away. So here I am sitting there going, well, what does he even coach? Were you an athlete yourself? I don't know. Who did you play for? Did you play for negative coaches? Did you play for positive coaches? Did you play in the NFL? I don't even know. So I want to connect a little bit to your background by finding things that are common about you and me. Like, he's a coach, I'm a coach. We're all in this together. So that part definitely add in there. Be specific about the sports that you coach, sports you played. What was it like for you growing up as an athlete? Anything like that is a really good connection. And then, why you're here?
Yeah.
Did you just stumble across it? Did you have some moment where you realized like coaches are not being trained? And I thought you were getting there when you talked about how coaches don't get educated. You brought that up, that like there's just not a lot of training for coaches. That if that's your why, then tell us that. I'm here because I realized as a coach, I didn't get a lot of training. I knew how to play basketball, but I didn't get a lot of training on how to coach. So, I would just love to hear your why story. That helps you connect.
So would that be are we talking like the very first slide?
The very beginning. Yeah.
Yeah. So when I put up the double goal coaching, when I asked how many first year coaches, how many so we're talking right there, all this information that you just, what I'm coaching, why I'm here, and was I an athlete, that would be on that slide right there.
Well, it doesn't have to be set on a certain slide, but I think it needs to be in the first couple minutes of the workshop. Got it. Because if you just start right into the PCA, they're going to be like, well, who are you, and why do you have the expertise? Why should we listen to you? Why are you here? So I think it's important.
So just right off the top, the thing that I would do, I would probably delete my military experience. Really doesn't matter at this point based on this right here. So based on what you just said, what sports I coach, and if I was an athlete, and maybe how many years of experience I have as a coach, I feel would be more important than me referencing being in the military.
I think it's important that they know that you were in the military.
Okay.
That's part of who you are.
Right.
I think even more powerful is that you were in the military for 26 years, and you are a positive coach, and you find value in that. Because let me tell you, like, if my son joined a basketball team and I found out I had 2 choices between a coach that's been in the military for 26 years and a coach that's been, you know, an insurance salesman, you know, I might not pick the military coach.
Right.
Just because of the reputation. Like, oh my gosh, he's going to be vicious. He's going to be rough. He's going to be tough. So I think it's really powerful to say, I'm a Navy brat. Like, I'm a military kid, and I know that culture.
Yeah.
And to go into, you know what? And I'm coaching, because one of the things, I don't know if you've ever seen Phil Jackson. We have a video from Phil Jackson, and he actually talks about the origin of youth sports and how youth sports didn't really develop in this country until after World War II. And the reason being was because it was a military model of coaching. We started doing sports at younger ages. The only people that stepped up to be coaches were people that were in the military or just came out of the military.
Yeah.
So this idea of this negative coaching, this fear-driven, do as I say, jump, you know, when I say jump, you say how high. Like, this is the military model of coaching. What we're learning, you know, 20, 30 years later is it's just not effective. And I love, love, love what you said about people saying kids aren't as tough. And I think that's a great bridge between the military and sports, because you said, I don't remember who it was, a colleague of yours or somebody that said that kids are just not as tough as they used to be.
Yeah.
I hear that from coaches all the time. All the time. Kids are, especially high school coaches. I can't even, it's so hard to coach these kids because they're not as tough as we were.
Yeah.
And I just love that perspective that if you train them right, they're probably going to be better than you are.
Absolutely.
Because of the resources they have, the support they have. Yeah. I mean, you know, and I bring up too, like, my parents never came to my games.
Wow.
We had one car, and my mom couldn't just leave my other 3 siblings and come to every game I had. And I talk to parents now that are like having a heart attack if they miss their child's 7-year-old baseball game.
Yeah.
You know? But I liked the fact that my parents didn't come, because I got to analyze my own game.
Exactly.
I didn't have parents cheering me on from the sidelines, but I also didn't have parents screaming at me.
Right.
They came home and said, "How'd you play?" And I tell them, you know? So I just think kids are different now, but I love the attitude of, and if we train them right, they're going to be better than we were.
Absolutely.
So I think, I just like that whole thing. And I think that to me will motivate me as a coach to want to listen to you.
Absolutely.
You're like, man, this guy sees value in positive coaching.
I mean, you know, if you think about it, when I'm watching an NBA game, it kills me when they put the greats on and they'll talk about the Golden State Warriors and like, oh, Steph Curry wouldn't be scoring all them threes if I was guarding him. And I'm like, man, it's 2 different eras. Yeah. You should be celebrating what this guy is doing.
Oh yeah.
But you want to compare him to, you know, he wouldn't be getting all them threes if he played back when I don't understand that mentality, you know. And I'm so glad that my peer checked me on that. But I'm telling you, from that day on, I've made a conscious effort not to. That's why when I hear people say old school mentality, well, I really don't know what old school mentality is, because I'm definitely not coaching that.
Well, basically PCA says, we don't say that it's ours, but a lot of trainers will say, you know, the old school way is out. And that's something that we stand behind, but we don't even call it old school way. We call it win at all costs coach versus double goal coach.
Absolutely.
And it's a language thing. I mean, because there's a lot of old school coaches that were fantastic.
Yeah.
So I'm not going to tell my old school. I'm not, you know, I can think about some horrible old school coaches I had, and I can think about some phenomenal ones.
Exactly.
So I'm not going to say just because you coached me 30 years ago, you were old school, you know? So we just say win at all cost coaches versus double goal coaches. So, I mean, Scott, I think that could be your introduction right there. When you're introducing yourself and you're talking about how you've been in the military for 26 years, you might even want to start with that. You know what? And this guy that I was in the Army with, he noticed, you know, as I was training new people coming in, these guys weren't as tough as they used to be. And you know what I said? I said, yeah, if we train them right, they'll be better. And then you blended that right into coaching.
Wow.
You know, that's the why you're here. That's why I want to listen to you, because I'm
Absolutely.
like, man, that's good.
Yeah.
That's good.
I got you.
So that's what Ruben and I are talking about. The one thing, and I have a couple other comments, a couple other things I really liked. But my biggest suggestion for you is to go back. Like, I feel almost like you watched some of the training videos a long time ago, because you were asking me questions that I answered really clearly in some of those training videos. So like you would have known the answer to it had you watched it more recently.
Yeah.
So I was a little concerned when you were like, well, should I say this now? Should I do that now? And I'm like, I know that's in the video where I said like, here's an option, here's something you can do. So, you know, we don't have one cookie cutter way of doing these workshops. I mean, we've got 200 trainers all over the country, and Ruben and I and Joe Tarasi, who's the lead trainer down in Texas, we're probably 3 of the most different people you'll ever meet. Yeah. So if you go to the same workshop that I do, the same workshop Ruben does, the same workshop Joe does, you'd be like, oh my God, it's completely different. But that's the beauty of it.
Yeah.
Is that we're able to take the concepts of principles of positive coaching and blend it with our experience and our personality and our style and reach coaches in a different way.
Well, can I be like totally honest with you?
Yeah.
So of course I printed the slides off and I had the slides ready. So when I went back and looked at the presentation today, I realized the wording underneath the slides. So when I went to that workshop a couple of weeks ago, you know, I'm writing mad notes because I'm thinking that I need to be like the guy that I just went and presented, that I went and watched. So
who did you watch? Did you watch Jody?
Yes.
Yeah.
So I'm thinking that I need to reenact Jody when I do these presentations, but I'm realizing that I need to, if I had just been more aware of the wording, that would have been more incorporated into my practice.
Yeah.
As opposed to me going through the slides and going through what I wrote down, him saying, and trying to mirror that.
Right.
So it'll be my next one will definitely be more authentic.
And that's why I wanted to stop you, because I didn't want, you seem uncomfortable.
Yeah.
You just don't seem like, you seem like you've, as Ruben said, like when you're talking to us, you're like laughing and telling us and smooth. And then it's like, you'll go back to the slides and you're like robotic.
Yeah.
You know? And that's not what we want. We want you to have the slides back you up as you're telling a story.
And you know, this is like really too easy. So you're absolutely right. I'm not even gonna pull your arm on this. I definitely need to like relook the slides, look the wording at the bottom, because really these slides are so easy. You can present these slides. You don't really you don't need a whole lot of note cards.
No.
If you know this material, it'll flow off your tongue.
Exactly.
These are difficult slides. And that's what I'm used to.
Yeah.
I'm used to really just knowing the material, being able to look at the slide and being able to talk it. You know what I'm saying? So I'm really not there. I really need to like I said, look at the wording. Now I'll be maybe it's still a little bit nervous, but
that's fine.
This is really not difficult stuff.
No,
right?
it's not, I always say that it's not. It's simple, but it's not easy. It's simple concepts, but it's not easy to be really effective in this, and not everybody can do it. Right. And I tell people all the time, I don't care how great of a coach you are. If you can't communicate how to coach to other people, you're not a good trainer.
Right.
So, and I think you are, but I really also think that you can just by the time you get to this point in the course, I've already taken you through the concepts, the tools. You've given me examples. You've given me experiences. You've told me where you're challenged. The reason I do all that written question stuff in the course is so that you've got it.
Yeah.
So that by this point, when you do your demo, you're not just spitting out slides to me, because we also offer an online workshop, which you've taken, and you could sit there in front of your computer and the slides can come and you can take the online workshop. There's a reason that Spencer in Central Texas is selling live workshops, because we don't want to have everybody sit in front of a computer and learn this content. We want to have them talking with other coaches in the room, saying, how do you handle that? This is hard for me. Oh, I'm not sure how I handle that. Let's look to Scott, who's going to be the expert that gives us ways to handle, unmotivated kids and disrespectful kids, but have them chew on it first and think about that. And you're a natural question asker. Like, you did a great job. You asked a ton of questions. I keep in the margin of my notes how many times you asked questions. And you had a ton, which is great. And then use those answers to flow into the next topic.
Right.
You get really good at asking questions. You can ask somebody a question where all of a sudden they're going to give you an answer and you're going to be like, yeah, now let's keep going. And they're like, wait, how did he know I was going to give that answer? Well, it's a skill. It's like any skill. Yeah, it's a skill. And the more you're comfortable with the slides, the more you're comfortable with what comes next. This introduction to the workshop is long. Granted, I'm pushing to get it to be made shorter, but I do think that you can get through it by not being married to every click and every slide. Yeah. So it does make me nervous when you said you printed them out, because I'm like, oh gosh, he's going to make sure he hits every one, which, makes you scary. Couple things though I do want to point out. When you did the who is PCA part, these are annual numbers. This is in 1 year. So you said like since PCA started or whatever 20 years ago, we've trained 80,000 coaches.
Wow.
These, if you look at the bottom of the slide, it says annual statistics. So this is every year. And actually the 2,500 number actually should be more like 3,500 because last year we did close to 4,000 workshops in 1 year. Okay. So just that was just a little, picky thing I picked up on. The other thing, when you do ask questions, and I think you got better at this, when you ask the first question, what is a positive coach? When you ask a question to a group of coaches, a group of people, group of athletes, parents, whoever you're talking to, make sure they know that you want an answer.
Okay.
So the way you phrase it, you can say, who can tell me what a positive coach is? Or can I have a volunteer share for me what a positive coach is? Or turn to the person next to you and share a story about a positive coach that you had in your life and what they did. Okay. Or, you kind of said, what is a positive coach? And then Ruben and I didn't answer you because we didn't know if it was a rhetorical question. And then you're like, anybody? Like, so, if you phrase a question so that the audience knows you actually want an answer. And, and I always say too, like, take 2 minutes and share with the person next to you. Like I'm real specific. I want to tell them exactly what I want them to do. So that was my tip. And I like the way you said, like, as soon as I put that positive coaching up on the screen, did a coach come to mind? Like, I thought that was a great question because it does. As soon as you put up positive coaching, boom, coach came to mind. And then you say, you could also say, when I talk about negative coaching, did a coach come to mind?
Absolutely.
Yeah, probably.
Absolutely.
Out in Colorado said, I want you to think about a great mentor coach that you had. And that we all thought about a mentor coach. And then he goes, now I want you to think of your worst tormentor coach. And I was like, ooh, that's good.
Yeah, it really is.
I like that. All right. So let me see what else. The military story I thought was great. Oh, just your response. So, okay. At workshops, when you ask a question, the way that you receive the answer is going to encourage other people to want to participate more. So you did a nice job. I forget what even the question was, but you're like, oh, now that's what I'm looking for.
Yeah.
That's going to make 10 other people around me want to answer because you heard what I said and you acknowledged it and you made me feel valuable. Like I'm sitting there like, man, I want to give you all the answers because you're making me feel valued. Absolutely. That's going to make every coach of the workshop want to answer. And it's, that's something that you're really good at. I can tell, but there's a lot of trainers out there that they'll ask a question and then they'll be like, yes, and move on. And yes, and move on. And then they wonder why they ask a question and nobody wants to answer.
Exactly.
Because nobody's being valued. Nobody's being listened to. So I thought that was really nice too. That was good. The vision and the support slides, there's a lot of words on those slides. The reason, and I knew it was tripping you up, the vision one, the one that said that we use sports psychology and the best practices of coaches, those are quick. Those are real quick slides. Those are just to give your message credibility. And just saying, I'm not just telling, this isn't just my word. Don't take my word for it. We're actually using lots of research here to back all this up. Because, and I always joke, I always say, most of you don't have a sports psychologist on staff for your U12 ice hockey team. It's just not on the staff. So we're bringing you, we've done the homework and we're sharing it with you.
Absolutely.
And I also say, like, in your group, the San Antonio Basketball Club or whatever it is, thinks this is so valuable and they want you to have this training so that you can develop better athletes, better people. So, it gives a couple winks to the club too, like, thank you to this organization for bringing us in because they value you so much as a coach. They want you to have the best resources here to be able to use. So,
wow. Nice. I like that.
Yeah. What else? The legacy piece, don't go too quickly. The legacy piece is probably, I call it the Hollywood moment almost. It's the part in the workshop where the coaches probably have never thought about that. Coaches have never, a lot of coaches, and I've done over 300 workshops and I've had more coaches say to me, that's what hit me. When I actually thought for the first time, how do I want to be remembered? Because you had them think about a coach that they remember. You said, who's a positive coach that you remember? When you come full circle with that and you say, now, how are they going to remember you? And I think that's a moment where coaches have to think for a couple minutes. You asked the question and then you asked me right away and I didn't have a chance to think about it. So I was like, I'm not really sure. If you want a quality answer, there's a great opportunity for coaches to share. Either share with a partner or have them write it down. I have them write it down in the back of the book. How do you want to be remembered as a coach? one sentence. And that way they have that with them right there in their book. I've also given out sticky notes before at workshops. I'll have like a pack of sticky notes and I'll have a sticky note on every book. Write down on the sticky note how you want to be remembered and stick it somewhere that you'll see it every day at practice. Because I've had some times where I've said, oh yeah, I want to be remembered as a fun coach that cares about the girls. And I come out of practice and I sit in my car and my blood pressure's high because I just screamed at him for something. And I see right there on the sticky note, I want to be remembered as a caring, fun coach. And I sit there and go, I was not a fun coach today. And I did not care about those girls. You know, so it's just a moment that's really powerful in our workshops where the coaches can go, gosh, I never thought about how I'm coaching right now is going to impact these players for the rest of their lives.
Absolutely.
And that's the power. So I would just spend a little bit more time on that. So let's transition here. And also the question, like, how many of you are double goal coaches? That's kind of a tough question because they don't really understand yet what being a double goal coach is.
Okay.
So I think, you know, maybe a simpler question, because the two circles are up, you know, one that says winning and one that says life lessons. Maybe a question like, have any of you ever chosen winning over the life lesson? You're going to get a lot of hands up. You know, have any of you ever chosen the life lesson over winning? You know, and you're going to get hands up there too. You know, I want you to, you know, maybe, does anybody want to share an example of a time when they chose the win over teaching the life lesson? And maybe you have a story, Scott, for you. I always have one of like my best high school basketball player. You know, she had a mouth on her and she would be cursing left and right up and down the court, but she could hit 3-pointers like crazy. And I didn't want to take her out of the game because as soon as I sat her on the bench, you know, we weren't scoring as much. Right. So there were a lot of times as a high school coach that I'd kind of pretend like I didn't hear her. And it was, you know, I was a young coach. I didn't know what I was doing. I was like, I'm going to keep her in because she's scoring, even though she's, you know, cursing out the opponents right next to her. So I share that story. Anybody else ever choose the win? And you get coaches to share a story. Or go ahead. So
what if I asked, so how many coaches you're striving to win, but you're not teaching life lessons? Could I ask that? You could. Would that be a negative? Like, I
think if you say it as a specific instance, how many of you have ever done this? Not how many of you do this. Like, how many of you choose the win over teaching life lessons? That's a hard question, but how many of you can ever think of a specific moment where you chose the win? Because then that doesn't make them a horrible person. Right. It just means in the moment, in the emotions, whatever the pressure was, you chose the win. You know, and you don't even have to have them share. You could just say, how many of you have done that? Yeah. Anybody ever take the hard choice and chose the life lesson over the win? You know? So again, as long as you keep it to a specific example, it doesn't make anybody feel bad or feel like, you know, they're boasting about something. So, but yeah, so I'm actually going to ask you to just do the emotional tank at a later time.
Yeah.
I really want you to try to kind of incorporate some of this feedback, go back onto the course page and watch some of the demos again, watch some of the training, just the training part. And just, I'll go through like, this is what you can do. This is how you can explain it. These are some ideas on how you can get people thinking. And you don't have to do it word for word, but sometimes just hearing one of my ideas might spark you to go, oh, I have a better way to do that. Here's what I want to do. This is more my style.
Yeah. Well, I actually love this piece, so I don't want to mess it up anyway. So
you won't.
I totally agree. You know, I told Ruben when I first met him, I'm 51 now, but when I heard feeling the emotional tanks, that motivated me. I was telling Ruben, I felt like charging the hill. So I'm 51, so I don't do a lot of running now. But when I think about feeling emotional tanks, I feel like I'm 21. And that like really, the first workshop I went to, I kind of like was just there. But when he talked about feeling, that just blew me away. That is like phenomenal. Mm-hmm. You know, I'm big on the resiliency piece. And I have even shared this with my buddies in the Army because, you know, we teach resiliency because, you know, it became a big part of what we do based off all the soldiers we were losing during the war. Yeah. You know, we had to come up with something. We were losing people every day. So we had to institute stuff that was going to help soldiers when they got back to the rear. And that's when the Army came out with the resiliency, the positive psychology. And I'm telling you, as soon as a guy said emotional tank, I was like floored. It was like, if I didn't learn anything else, this workshop was worth me coming to just based on hearing this one phrase right here, because it motivates me like that. So yeah,
there's your intro to the emotional tank principle right there. I mean, that's so much more impactful than reading slides. I don't care what's on the slide. Like when you just said that, I'm like, really? Like that? You know, if I didn't learn anything else and talk, I think the fact that, I mean, you've got so many great analogies from the military about it. Like, I think that's who you are, and that's great. But as long as you can also get examples from the coaches too. You know, this was where I came from. This filling emotional tanks like hit me like bam. Oh my gosh. Like this was so powerful for me. Absolutely. Did any of you ever realize this while you were coaching? Maybe you didn't know the word, because that's what a lot of coaches say. Like, I knew this concept, but I never called it filling emotional tanks. You know, now I have a term, now I have a word. And then, you know, when you get to the tools, I tell my players all the time, like if one of my players says something negative to another player, I'll say, yo, are you draining it or filling it? Are you draining his tank or filling her? You know, and as long as you have that language, like I've had girls look over me and go, sorry, coach, I drained it. I'm like, yeah, you drained your tank. Are we going to play better with empty tanks or full tanks? We'll play better with full tanks, coach. Right. Fill it up before you know, you've got to fill her tank up twice before you know, get to the end of the line and think about a way to fill her tank. And it's just terminology, and the kids get it. It's just, it makes coaching easier.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
And I tell people that at my workshops. At the end of this workshop, your job's going to be easier. Most of you are coming to this workshop thinking, oh, now I have to change. It's going to be so hard. Guess what? I'm going to make your job easier.
Absolutely. You know, I feel parents' tanks as well.
Yes, absolutely. You have to.
When I'm talking with parents, I'm like feeling their emotional tank, because I'm seeing the interaction between them and their child. So I think if coaches just realize that, because I do, like I said, when I'm talking to parents, I'm feeling their tank just as well, because I know if I feel their tank, they're going to feel their child's tank.
Sure.
You know what I'm saying? So yeah, I'm with you.
And I tell coaches that all the time. Guess what? You don't have a roster of 12 basketball players. You have a roster of 12 basketball players. They're 12 moms, they're 12 dads, they're 12 aunts, grandparents, whoever they live with. They're now on your team. So, you know, you've got to coach them up too.
Absolutely.
And part of it, and we tell parents at the parent workshops, you got to fill the coach's tank. Your job as a parent is to make sure that your child's coach's tank is full. How are you going to do that? And parents are like, I never even thought about that. Most of the time, I'm just screaming at the coach from the sidelines. I'm like, yeah. And how's that coach going to coach your kid?
Yeah.
If you're screaming at them and telling them they're not doing their job well, my kids are so important to me, and I love them so much that I'm going to have every opportunity for them to be coached by the best coach possible. The only way to do that is if this coach's tank is full.
Yeah.
I don't want to be the one responsible for draining it.
Yeah.
You know? So moments like that where parents or coaches are like, never thought of that. Like you see the light bulb go off and go, oh, maybe I shouldn't scream at the coach. Maybe my coach will actually coach better if I support them than scream at them. It's like, they might. Give it a try. See what happens. So,
absolutely.
Well, I appreciate your willingness, Scott, to take a lot of this feedback. And I usually don't give this much feedback, but I just see so much potential in you. And I just feel like you are stuck, and I just want to release you and have you just do what you do. Because I mean, I know the awards that you were given, and it's not because you could read slides. It's because you know kids, you know how to coach, you know what motivates them. And that's why Trennis is so excited about you. So we want to see Scott sharing in a structured way, you know, sharing the principles in a structured way, but we want you to share it the way that you can.
Yeah. And I appreciate that, you know, and I apologize that I should have been a little bit better prepared. And like I said, I just realized that wording at the bottom, but, you know, I will tell you that I am very motivated. I'm very appreciative of the opportunity, because I can see myself doing this I'm not one of them guys that's going to be like around for 1 year and then I'm fall off the map. You know, when me and you were talking, and I realized that I have an opportunity, I got to get through this first one first, but I have an opportunity to teach, facilitate these courses.
Oh, yeah.
Courses. In my mind, I'm like, man, I can do this for years.
Yeah.
Well, because I'm retired. I mean, I'm not chasing money. You know what I'm saying? I'm at a point in my life where I can pick and choose the things that I want to do.
Sure.
Because I'm comfortable. And like, this is one thing that I want to do because of what it talks about. And I believe in this, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah. We have a lot. And it's funny. We have one of our best trainers in Cleveland is 72 years old. And he's phenomenal. He's like a retired NBA guy. Like he played years ago. And I mean, it's great because, you know, you have the passion, you have the experience, you have time, you have energy to put into this. And that's great. It's great. The hardest thing we have is when we have like these younger people coming in that have a job and they're coaching and they're like, I'm not available to do any workshops. And I'm like, why do you want to be a trainer? You know?
Can I share one more thing with you? Yeah. So the piece on Carol Dweck blew me away when I went through this, because a couple months ago, I got this part-time position with the Military Child Education Coalition.
Okay.
What I do is I go into the school and I teach workshops to parents on them advocating for their kids. And I had just done a workshop on mindset. So right a week after I did that mindset workshop in the school, I got to the portion on this course of with Carol Dweck, and it blew me away that lady was having an impact in the schools and the sports arena. You know, I'm at the point now, you know, I'm like, man, I need to talk to the sports director and let him know that, hey, we should be doing something on this, because over at the youth center, you know, with all the local coaches, because that thing that she talks about, that mindset thing, that's phenomenal.
Yeah. We have a whole workshop. We have an entire workshop we do for coaches now called Mastery. And it's all based on Carol Dweck's mindset, growth mindset. I mean, it's not the first one that coaches usually do. Usually they've done this one first, this Double Goal Coach 1 workshop, and then, you know, they can pick, but it's a whole workshop on Mastery, and it's phenomenal. It's really, really good stuff.
Blown away. Major impact. Major impact.
Good. That's awesome. Well, thanks, Scott. I appreciate your openness. I appreciate your effort putting into this. And we know whenever, I know, you know, with the holidays coming up, it's going to be kind of tough, but I'm available the Wednesday, Thursday, Friday after Christmas. I'm actually working those days. So if you have time over break and you want to do that, if not, we can wait till after Christmas and New Year's. That's fine.
Okay. Absolutely. I appreciate that, Kelly.
All right. Take care.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.